Hey, good morning. Or, you know what? If you're living in the future, good afternoon. Everything is going to be super, super chill today. Um, my apologies for folks who joined us yesterday. I'm so sorry I was a little bit sick and promptly went to bed instead of finishing the lesson. So today what we're going to do is go ahead and go through some of the lessons from that we would have usually covered yesterday. My apologies. And then we're just going to very, very high level talk through this project. Does that sound all right? I want to make sure we get a chance to look at some CSS grid together because it's a little bit conceptually difficult. And then just preview this project because this is your fourth project, I think. And you've got that cadence down. You've got it in your heart. You know, we're going to take a look at the user stories. We're going to start breaking them down into what kind of technical requirements they involve. We've got this. This is fine. And thank you so much again for being so wonderful and patient about me being rubbish yesterday. Ooh, we're going to come into the curriculum. And don't forget that we're coming all the way down to whoof, into this beta certification. That's super chill. And we're going to take a deep breath and come all the way down again because we have done so much of this. Ready? Whoof. Look how much y'all have done. This is just a ridiculous, delightful amount, isn't it? So we did a little bit of CSS grid before I sort of gently, uselessly wandered off. Let's do a little bit more together so we can get an idea of what it feels like, yeah? Although, I would like to pretend that I'm setting a good example for don't work when you're sick. So, we're inside of Learn CSS Grid by Building Magazine. Within our div, oop. So in our header element, after our header element, we're going to create a div with a class set to author. All right. Wait, do I have a header element? Yeah, she's right there. We've got this. This is still kind of familiar, isn't it? This stuff is still fine. We've made divs with classes before. We're not really into the CSS gritty parts of this yet, are we? Author name. Everything is. Oh gosh, I'm just fine. Oh, that's very, very sweet to ask. You know when you've been doing a little bit too much for too long and your body's just like, no, I think I got an enforced timeout yesterday. I've got tons of sleep. We're just fine to do the lesson today. Tomorrow we're going to have a really laid back guest speaker. It is Wednesday, isn't it? I feel like it might be Wednesday. So we've got an author name and then inside. Oh, wait. Oh, class is just set to author. Look at this. Even when I'm not sick, I'm a little bit cheerfully rubbish. Although I did just hear one of the learners the other day, one of you all referred to yourselves as cheerfully rubbish, and it makes me want to stop doing that forever. Because y'all are joyous and wonderful and brilliant. Author name, and then we're going to put the text by Free Code Camp in here. We can do that. Okay, we're getting so this isn't CSS grid stuff yet. This still feels okay. But the kind of stuff we are looking at is stuff that we've done a little bit. We can get this. It's all cool. So, and then it says, oh, turn the Free Code Camp bit into a link. Oh, we can do that. Yeah. We've done links a bunch of times. And what it says, turn this part into a link, I think what it means is just that. We're going to have the ref where that goes. Yeah. Sasha's asking about the columns. And we'll go a little bit further. And when we get to that part, let's talk about it a bit. Yeah. Ooh, how does grid column 2, 3? Ooh, yeah, because this gets conceptually weird fast. We'll come into this space pretty quickly, I promise. Well, it depends on what your definition of quickly is, isn't it? Oh, to make a link, you've probably got to put that A in front. We're going to set the target to blank. Does anybody remember what the target blank does? You remember what that does? Ooh. And below that, still inside this div. Oh, good morning, lovely, or hello. We're going to set another P element. class is equal to publish date. We're still just doing plain old HTML stuff. Nothing too fancy with grid yet. But since we're not doing anything too fancy with grid, yeah, Carlos, you've got my back on this. I appreciate it. Where you're like, when we see that target blank, it means that when our user clicks on this, it's going to go ahead and open Free Code Camp in a new tab. Cool, we've got this. Check our code. Everything's fine. Ooh, we haven't seen this yet. Ooh, how weird. So the referrer HTTP header contains. Ooh, Sasha's gone a step further to say, you know what? The target blank addresses our poor memory and opens a web page in a new tab. And HTTP headers are a really interesting thing. Do you know what? My brilliant and esteemed colleague is here with us. Mervyn, if it's not a bother, can you find an explainer for HTTP headers that looks all right and chuck it into the chat for folks? HTTP headers do a lot of stuff, but I want to go ahead and drop in just some documentation if you're interested in it. And if you're not, you don't have to worry about it quite yet. So here the referrer HTTP header contains information about the address or the URL of the page that your user might be visiting from. So if I'm coming from my own website, jessica.tech, the HTTP header is going to carry that information. And that's information probably going to be used by analytics. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the rel attribute to no referrer. Yeah. We say, well, you know what? We don't need this information to get passed along. We're good. We know where this person probably came from. And it's always polite to take less information, isn't it? So we're going to set the rel is equal to no referrer. And this is the first time we've seen this. Oh, cool. You know what? I'm not surprised there's an MDN for this. Deputy, I'm seeing a couple questions. These are really good questions. Is it all right for me to address these at the end? Just to make sure we get through to the CSS grid stuff first. Below our new div class social icons. Let's go super fast. Oh, div class. Remember that divs are just these empty boxes that, you know what, maybe in my heart, this feels like a section. We make 4 links. Yeah, we're going to make 4 links. But this being a div doesn't distress me. And since we're making 4 links, and I am the laziest developer in the world, I'm just going to copy and paste those 4 times. Oh, 5. So the first one, we're going to do our link to facebook.freecodecamp. And I confess I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook as a privacy weirdo. And then we're doing Twitter. Wow, I'm making social media confessions. I confess I do spend too much time on Twitter. I mean, you've got to stare into the void somewhere. Instagram. And then we've got, LinkedIn. And then the last one's going to be YouTube. We've got these. Oh, when you're talking about a great place to waste time, YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, we've got those. I bet we're going to put some images in. Oh, and here's our little flashy flat pop-up saying, hey, and just reminding us the Bootcamp is completely different than Free Code Camp, right? Yeah. Free Code Camp is a registered nonprofit, and they make all of this really wonderful curriculum. If you've got the money, don't spend money you don't have. And if you've got the inclination, donating is really cool. I promise I donate on my other account. I just don't on my class one. So we get this pop up and I get to say, oh, you can donate if you want to. So, we're going to make an AI element in these and we're going to give them all these classes. Okay. You say within any, okay. Ooh, what's an I element? Y'all remember? So inside here, think that's it? Do we think that's going to work? Feel okay about that? Let's try a couple more and let's copy and paste these because I'm lazy. So we're inside our link. Here's our Twitter link starting and here's it finishing. Start an I. Class here is equal to. We've got two classes, Fab and FA Twitter. Okay. Oh, let's leave that out for now so we can copy and paste. Oh, am I? Oh, thank you. Thank you. So we've got these. Let's go ahead and just grab some more of these babbies. Babbies being a very technical term for babies, which I think I've picked up living in the West Midlands. Not too long, because there's no such thing as too long in this lovely place. Okay, so we've got all our classes. And now what we're going to do is just move them all over. So Fab, they're all going to have the class of Fab. And then this one has FA Twitter. Okay. And I think they're going to, yeah, they're all going to follow this, aren't they? So here we've got Fab, FA, Instagram. You see why people copy and paste, yeah? Got the Fab class again. And then I think FA is probably Fab icon, isn't it? Oh, no, FA. Wonder what FA stands for our class. LinkedIn. Oh, do you want the... Oh, LinkedIn in? LinkedIn in? I find that sort of low-key distressing. LinkedIn in? Let's go ahead and see what I have mistyped. Yeah, so Florian's asking a question. Really, really relevant here. So say, why is it not recommended to use the I tag? So really, I and M here are doing two different things. They're doing two different semantic things, aren't they? So the I is sort of a decorative one. It's not quite deprecated, but it's usually discouraged because M carries the semantic meaning of emphasis. So I is just the styling by itself, whereas M is like, oh, hey, I know what you mean to do. And because, yeah, you're using some error handlers will be like, well, you've used I and we gently discourage it. Yeah. It's just that M carries a little bit more semantic meaning, huh? Below our header, we're going to create another section, speaking of things that carry a little bit more semantic meaning. And I know it feels a little bit arbitrary where I say, oh, let's keep our questions to the end. But if it's a really, really quick, super heckin' relevant one, I'll sneak it in where I'm like, oh, dang, that's a really good one because I have been lovingly fussing at John. Oh, and Carlos makes a really good point. If you just want italics, you can do that in CSS, isn't it? Yeah. This is not the most technically correct answer, but using the I tag feels a little bit old-fashioned, doesn't it? Really, that's only relevant if y'all are also people with a lot of HTML behind you. Class. You know what? Speaking of getting old in the passage of time, I met a young man the other day who was 3 years younger than the first web page I've ever made. And that was definitely something to meditate on. So, oh, wow. I've never been able to say, I've got websites older than you before. Leanne is saying, oh, do you remember the TT? Oh, tables. Because tables were sort of, am I wrong in suggesting tables were like us trying to do something that felt like CSS grid before it was possible? Like tables. Another P element. Okay, and then we're going to add this text. We can do this. Another P element below our first. This text in it. Oof. And which class we're using? We're going to use the class. Oh, it doesn't need a class. Oh, it has the provided text. Oh, oh, Carlos is saying it's a pseudo grid selection. Oh, well, that's not correct. I mean, no, Carlos, I'm not saying you're not correct. I'm saying I'm not correct. Oh, do you know what? I have accidentally included the check your code. It's probably not supposed to be there. One more P element. Okay, we've got this. I'm getting a little bit grumpy because we're just it is important to do this sort of review stuff, but y'all are ready for grid stuff, right? Ooh, what's going on here? Oh, they're writing about why they did the new curriculum. More. Block quote. Ooh, have we done a block quote yet? I don't think we've seen these yet. I set the class to quote. And I kind of like all of these elements we haven't seen before because we can kind of guess about how a block quote might work. Based on this, okay, block quote, it's got text in it. So I think maybe we can use it like a P or like a heading, which is just to say open block quote. Let's see, what does that look like? Oh, okay. I mean, this does feel like a block and a quote. Maybe is that what you want? Oh, had two HR elements. Within, oh, yes. Okay. What are we doing here? So, HR. P tag with the class also set to quote, isn't it? Oh, you know what? So this class doesn't go here at all. I am just all over the place. Everything is chill. Yeah. Add an HR element. Okay, so, and this is feeling a little bit ambiguous. But don't apologize for being late, my lovely. The whole point of these is that they're yours. And this is available on video. There's no such thing as I'm not super confident. Your block quote children should be. Okay. After the three P elements within your text element, create a block quote element. What do we think they want? Oh, close the P and then the HR. Oh, close the P is good advice, isn't it? Oh, Carlos, that is such a gentle way to be like, yeah, you're doing it wrong, but I quite was. Thank you. But what does that look like? Our block quote element then. Ooh, we've got these lovely bars. The entire curriculum should be a series of and that's what we're doing, isn't it? So one more P element. No more walls of explanatory text. It's not just me being cruel to you. It's Free Code Camp being cruel to you as well. Because they're like, good news. We're explaining less stuff and making you figure out more hard stuff. Oh, Muju, hello, my love. Gosh, I'm feeling fantastic. Thank you. I love this. And there's plenty of repetition to help you retain. Because we've been saying, have I done this before? I've done that. So we're getting the exact same kind of tasks we'd see in the wild. Makes programming sound much more dangerous than it is. We do another P element where it's like, in my heart, I want to be like, oh, come on, let's get to the grid part. But in the real world, I mean, learning is in a production environment. That's tech for in the real world. All right, one more P element and give it this text. So this feels a lot like an actual project we might be given. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Where we've got to go through and build out the structure of our page before we get to think about the styling. So, well, we need to get all this stuff in here. Let's make sure we get it. Oh, what do you mean? Oh, yes, I've copied and pasted that in, haven't I? Very much like me. Thought HR is closed. HR. Ooh, is HR self-closing? It may well be. I think I might have closed it. Oh, so we're seeing. Yes, it's self-closing. I'm not sure why. Apparently it doesn't hurt anything if you add a closing element, but Septus, you're absolutely right. It does indeed look like it's self-closing. So below our text element, whew, and I know that it's telling us right here in the text we're copying, oh, well, all of this repetition is good for you, but it is quite a bit of repetition, isn't it? Actually close that section. A class of text with images. All right, I'm getting a little bit done with this. Y'all a little bit done with this? An article. Ooh, although, what am I spelled article? Probably. Why am I a little bit excited here? And not just because I'm always a little bit excited. Here, we're getting to use these sectioning elements with a ton of semantic meaning. I'm really enjoying this. So we have a section starting, say, hey, 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 this isn't just a div. This isn't just an empty box. This is a discrete section. I want to communicate the semantic meaning of section. And now within that section, boom, I've got an article. So a lot of meaning being shared here. Let's just copy and paste brief history so I don't mistype anything. And then inside that, what are we doing? An aside element. Oh, have we seen one of these yet? It is giving us a lot of things we've done before, but then it's sort of slipping in to be like, oh yeah, by the way, put it in a side element. And they do it in this curriculum in such a nice way that you're like, well, I've done 7 million sections. I'll just type out a sec. Oh, it's an article. I've done that 10 times. They say, oh, add an aside element. And you're typing out, you go, have we done these before? Set this class to image. We haven't. So let's just go with this syntax that feels like it's a lot like what the article looks like. Let's see if that's what they want. The section element. Oh, it should have two classes. Got it. It's the class text and the class text with images. We can do this. That's chill. Let's just add the class of text. Oh, The article. Oh, you'd like me to close the article before the aside element, I bet. Yeah, you're happy now. We're still doing our review. I really want to. Ephedrus really helpfully points out HR is a horizontal row. Sorry, I should have said that out loud. H3 element within my header. Okay, well, inside as a child, H3 with a class set to list title. I do apologize. I think it might be a very long class today because I want to push through these review bits. They're important to continue to get the flow of these. But what have I done? I have reversed these, haven't I? So it's a class of list title, and the text is a brief history. At least when I was sick yesterday, I had a good excuse for being a little bit all over the place. Below that, yeah, let's make a P element. So we go a little long today because I want to make sure we get a chance to start looking at CSS Grid and talk about sort of the weird conceptual nature, the weird and beautiful conceptual nature of the rows. But then I want to go talk about the project we're looking at today, if that's all right. Okay. Then after that, unordered list. And we haven't have we done unordered? We've done unordered lists before, I think. We've definitely done lists. We don't have any list items in here yet, but we do have a class of lists. Okay. Let's see if we've got that right. That's chill. Oh, come on. Oh, is a side for a sidebar. Ooh. So I'm not seeing anything yet. Let's go ahead and grab that. What do you think? But without looking, I'm grabbing the MDN. Without looking, what do we think a side means? Because Septus, you're saying it's sidebar content. And I think that you might be absolutely perfectly, distinctly right. So it's to say, cool, it's representing content that it's important-ish, but it's not the main focus. So to saying, oh, cool, let's put this to the side a little bit. Yeah. We haven't done these yet. Let me go ahead and take a look at, I'm going to pop over here real fast so we can look at it together. Because we've got a really good example of what that looks like. So we've got, well, here's a, oh gosh, does anybody live someplace where you've got salamanders? Probably not in your home, but how exciting if you do. So salamanders are like little wet lizards. It's not what it says. And here we've got a sidebar to say, oh, this one kind of salamander, this one kind of newt is toxic, has a deadly toxin. How cute. So it's important. We do want people to be able to see that they should not pick up the salamander, but it's not the main part of the article. If you've learned nothing else, do not pick up rough skin newts. So we're going to create 6 list items, and we're going to, oh, hang on. This is too much information. 6 list items, elements, and then an H4 element with a class set to list subtitle, and then a P element to each of our list items. All right. Oh, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 6 bullet points. I think this is going to be an H4 and this is going to be a P. Y'all feel all right with that? Start our list item. We need to end our list item. I'm not feeling very confident. I'm only gently sure that this is right. H4. Right. I came in here. I was like, no. I just want to do the, and these are, let's go ahead and. Oh, love money. I single thing today. A list item that's got an H4 and then a paragraph element. No, it's chill. We'll do them nice and slow. Just want to make sure. Okay, all of them need the class of list subtitle. That's chill. And Muji makes a really good point here, which is, you know what? There's no kind of hurry. Okay, so list item starting. We start our H4. The H4 is the class of list subtitle. We end our H4. We start our paragraph, then we end our paragraph, then we end our list item. That feels like it might be okay. Let's check and see. So we're going to come up, and how many of these do we need? We need 6. Let's get our structure first. Coming to the bottom of the list item. Come in here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is messy. Look how messy this is. It'll automatically style itself in a second, won't it? Is there a, if I go and come back, will you automatically style it for me? I love to cheat. You did not automatically style it for me, did you? Yeah, it's all right. So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to take all of this and copy and paste it. Oh, Florian's got lazy tips. That sounds like I'm picking on you, but I'm delighted that you have lazy tips. I'm going to open up a text editor, and you all won't be able to see it, but I promise you I am. And the reason I've got a text editor open is just so I've got another little window so I can copy and paste this over. Yeah, without driving myself right up a heckin' wall. So our first one is V1 2014, isn't it? I'm going to put that on our H4. Does that work? Do we think that might be what it wants? That feels kind of right? But my challenge is, where does this go? Like, the colons here, do they go in the H4? Do they go in the paragraph? They can't possibly mean that they want that between the H4 and the paragraph, do they? And if this feels like a weird way to be doing stuff, let's check. Oh. Let's talk about error messages, yeah? Oh, because we don't think we need the semicolon. We don't need it. Okay, here, when it says my second H4, I've got the distinct impression that maybe the first one is okay. I'm going to try to get without the semicolon as well and see if we still get that. It looks like we don't need the semicolon. Maybe the tests pass either way. Where's the second one? Let's come up here. Where's that other H4? Yeah, I got you. H4 version 2. Free Code Camp has been around for just ages, hasn't it? We're going to add the text we need. Come back here. And how fun is this to do first thing in the morning? Because you're like, people, oh, hey, how'd you start your day? You're like, oh, I watched an old lady grumble at computers. What a very, very strange hobby y'all have. All right, let's come down. And then we've got version 4 in 2016. Ooh. You know what? It just occurred to me that 2016 is actually quite some time ago, wasn't it? Copy you and paste you. We'll get 2017, which was version 5. Where have you gone? There you are. We've added the backend and data visualization challenges. Do you know what? Free Code Camp has got all this work done in the past couple of years, and I've got a whole bunch of nothing. I admire their energy, but I will continue to chill while they continue doing great things. It's important that somebody's on the couch. You want to see? You're 6th. Okay. Oh, I've included the semicolon, have I? Is that it? Y'all. Oh, come on, let me do CSS already. Inside my aside element. Oh, we'll get to see what the aside looks like. 2 image elements. Image tag is self-closing, isn't it? Yeah, it is now. Block quote element. And then here it wants the class is set to. Then one more image element. Is that all you want? Oh, that's all you want. Everything's chill. So the first one, we're just going to copy and paste. You know what? We're just going to copy and paste all this into the text editor. You can't see. Wow, that's not very helpful teaching, isn't it? To be like, well, you can't see it, but this means that I've got some sort of notes to go as we go. Everything's fine. So our first image is set to this random quote machine. Everything's chill. S. And what must we always do with an image unless it's purely decorative? You gotta have an alt. If you don't have an alt text, that's a bit rubbish, isn't it? Just low-key rubbish, small amounts of rubbish. A class of image one. Oh, heck. Loading is set to, I think we've done lazy loading already. Width to 600 and a height to 100. Y'all are far too nice. Oh, that's 400, not 100. So we think, what's going on here? It's an aside, so this image is inside the aside. Whew. What do we think that's going to look like when we come down and check it out? Ooh, oh, that actually looks quite good now that that's sorted. Ooh. I'm reasonably sure that should be showing. Cool. It seemed reasonably likely that they wouldn't give me a... Oh, y'all. Actually writing SRC will do it, won't it? Let's go. Okay, cool. Ephedrus. Oh, y'all are just so patient. Where you're like, Jess, you gotta type this right. You gotta get yourself sorted. Oh, is it? Oh, that's an image. It's not gonna click. We've been doing this long enough where we've got 2 prompts to donate. I might cheat if that's okay. We might skip ahead just a little bit and see whether or not we find some of the CSS stuff we want to be taking a look at. We're just going to hop to 27. Cool. And let's take a look at what code we've got so far. So we're in CSS land. This is where I want to be. Of course, when you're doing your homework, you have to do all of them. You can't skip about. Where does it? CSS select. Okay, so this one we'd say, hey, create a selector for all of your HTML. Give it the font size property of 62.5. We already know how to do this. Is that okay? Let's go ahead and skip a little bit further. Okay, well, we've done fonts before. So where are we? We're step 20. Let's skip ahead a little bit further. You say, Jess, can we do this? Can we just skip stuff? I'd be like, well, I'm not a cop. Step 30. We're going to skip just 2, 3 more. All right. We've gone too far. Step 34. Let's go back to 33. Yes. You love how I started this lesson where I was like, well, it's really important that we go through the whole process, that we get used to doing the boring parts. I'm just like, no, we're going to skip. Now, let's go back one more, because I think in step 32, we're going to set our grid. Cool. It says now that you're ready to start putting together the grid layout. And here what what you all have done, and I've skipped because I'm the worst, is set up our styling. I want to use this background. I want to use this color. Sort of the main vibe of what's going on here. And here, we are going to get weird. I personally find CSS grid so absolutely delightfully distressing because it's conceptually super heckin' weird. So we've created a main selector. So this is going to impact everything in our main element, which is most of our stuff, isn't it? And we're going to set the display. And you say, oh, I've done this before. We set display to flex. And I say, well, yeah. If we wanted to use Flexbox, we could. we're using grid. We're spelling grid right. Here, not too much has happened. Like we saw a little bit of a wiggle. But all we've done so far is say, hey, CSS, because we're cool. We're good friends with CSS. We could just say, hey, CSS, we're going to be using CSS grid as a model here. Get ready for me to do some weird grid stuff. Cool. And I'm excited because I will absolutely be wrong at least 9 times trying to explain the conceptual grid part. Please yell at me as loudly as you like when I'm wrong. So we've set it to grid. We're using CSS grid. Now we can style the layout of our grid. And yeah, it's like Flexbox in that it does weird things to both parents and elements. So here, our parent element we're using to specify is the main element. Cool. We're going to set the content to have the 3-column layout and 3-column 1, 2, 3. So think like a newspaper article, isn't it? We're going to be using this grid template columns property. And that's going to be super chill. I'm just going to grab that in MDN and check it into the chat for you all. Because I've talked a lot about how much I love this curriculum, just sort of pushing you into the deep end. But here it's asking us to use something that we haven't seen before. And it's never cheating to look up what the syntax is. Here, I think the syntax is going to be, so we're going to use the, we're going to copy and paste the wrong thing over. We use the grid template columns property. We always put our colon there. We always put our semicolon here. Here, I think we can just go ahead and put in just like easy. Put in our property. Do I need I'm just giving you all the documentation. Do I need, where'd you go? Do I need a comma between them? No, I should just be able to put those in. And now everything is gone. I mean, is that what y'all wanted? Because I feel like that's not. I mean, it's definitely done something. Maybe this is doing the thing where it's it's giving us this one that feels wrong and then making us do it again and again till it feels right, huh? So we're going to use the min-max function to make our columns responsive on any, because right now, these columns are not good, right? Like, this website feels weird. We do indeed, Florian points out, like, Jess, I don't know why you're complaining. We've got those 3 columns you wanted. And yes, you are technically correct, is the best kind of correct. We do indeed have 3 columns. But this doesn't feel very website-y. Like if you were doing some weird art stuff, cool, making 3 stretchy columns. But let's use the min-max function. Okay. And I like this because it's explained what's going on. Min-max function takes 2 arguments. First one, minimum value. Second one, maximum. Cool. Wrap each of your already defined All right. So do we think it's like this? Do we think that's what's going on? Yeah. The first argument should be 2 rem. And then with a function, it's a comma between them, isn't it? Woo! I mean, that's definitely done something. So, well, Tess, this can't possibly be how programming is supposed to work, where you're sort of low-key like, well, something's happened. But like, something's happened. The first argument should be min content here. Ooh, I like this a lot. Look at the absolute chaos of this. Look at it. Look at it. Surely this is not what let's do the last one, huh? And let's add the min-max function to this last one. Ooh, I love how it's sort of bracing itself, saying, "Well, Jess, I know you're gonna do something weird. Get chill with it." That can't possibly be right, right? Hmm. And I know that this is not usually how it works. Usually, isn't it you get something wrong, you get the little error message, and then you get to be a bit distressed. But here, this is green. This says it works. And we better learn some more stuff because I mean, let's go. Let's chill. I have gentle but enduring trust in the free code camp people. I bet they're going to show us some sort of weird things about grid that are going to untangle all this. Because right now, I think the issue is that our columns are sort of overlapping, aren't they? And this is not a right. Florian's like, you know what? All of the columns are set to a minimum value, and it looks busted. You didn't say it looks busted, but so let's add space between the rows in our grid layout. Can I put this wherever I want? What's in the main selector? So I suppose I can. The row gap. So we're gonna hopefully get a little bit of space between our grids, rows in our grid, right? And 3 rem. Okay, that doesn't seem to have done anything. I continue to be deeply suspicious. Our magazine will have 3 primary selections, and we could set the overlay at the main, but so we could set rules for the parent. We can also set specific rules for our children. Yeah. One option is the grid column property, which is shorthand for grid column start. Okay. So we could go ahead and write grid column start if we wanted. And grid column end. The grid column property tells the grid item. Ooh, and this is coming into the question that I think that, oh gosh, who was it who was just absolutely brilliant and so patient and so lovely? Asked this very, very good question ages back. Where are we? Where are we? Someone asked a really good question about how we count rows. Oh god, so Sasha, ages ago, back in the dim mist of times, I was like, well, we're gonna be talking about grid columns, 2, 3. How is it different from 1 and 3? And this is gonna feel weird because we count kind of weird with HTML grid, with CSS grid. So let's feel what these look like. So we're gonna set a rule for a class selector for our headings. Okay. Here we're gonna set the grid column to 2, 3. Oh, dang, look at that. But what if I set it to 1, 2? Ooh, so this is really exciting. Going on here, and actually, let me go ahead and get grid column. Show me, I trust that you've got a CSS grid. There we are. I'm just trying to grab. There we are. I'm trying to grab an explainer. It's going to seem like me cheating, but I'm always cheating. I want to come into the MDN documentation for the basics of grid layout. Chat, it's super chill. But the reason I've got this is that we're going to come way, way down. So it's a 2-dimensional grid system to CSS. We kind of got this. And I like this because it says, well, a grid is a set of horizontal and vertical lines that define columns and rows. And then you can put elements into the sort of negative space, into the boxes those create. So you can place items into a precise location using line numbers. And that's what, that's what we did in our last one. We said, hey, 2 and 3. Okay. So I'm going to come way down here. Here's us making some divs. Here's a wrapper for the grid container. But what I want are these grid tracks. Yeah. So grid template columns, that's what we've just done to define these. And we've got these boxes. So we've got these grids. Let's say I've drawn this grid on my page. Super weird, huh? So I've made 3 columns here, 1 column here, 2 rows, and sort of drawn a conceptual table where, yeah, I know I can do unequal sizes. Show me the grid counting part. Oh, I don't even want track sizing and min-max. There we go. This is what I wanted. All right. I understand. I have been led to understand. Smarter people than me tell me. Smarter people than me tell me that once you work with CSS Grid for a while, you just get to sort of implicitly feel these. But I never do. So in a left to right language, line 1 is on the left side of the grid. Ooh, and I'm reverse, so I'm going to be careful. So if I'm writing in English or Spanish or Portuguese, when I say 1, I mean this line, not this column. I mean this line. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then down from the top, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. So when I say 2, 3, it's going to go here, isn't it? Yes. Ooh. Yes. So if I say 2, 3, I should wind up with my content in this box that's labeled 5. This is so conceptually weird, isn't it? One thing I really like to recommend folks do is make a box like this and either number it just like, so make a bunch of divs. I mean, who doesn't like to make a bunch of divs? Either color them different colors with CSS or label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like they've done here and start moving stuff into different boxes just to get a feel for how that feels. Yeah, this feels like a cop-out whenever I say, the more you do this, the less scary this will feel. But the more you do this, the less weird it will feel. I promise. Yeah, and this is exceptionally cruel because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave you with this documentation, especially this picture was what I was really looking for. If you're, oh gosh, what's a right to left language? Who's doing those? Oh, Hebrew's written right to left. Oh, sometimes top to bottom. Oh, like Japanese or Korean. Oh, yeah. So if you're working with written content that is written, oh gosh, and I'm backwards. So if you're working with sort of left to right content, you're going to number it like this. You're going to conceptually flip this if you're working with right to left scripts. Whew. And now I'm going to look at how cool this is. You know what? There's some Wikipedia articles for which languages are written right to left. I confess that. Oh, you know what? I was going to say I've never heard of some of these languages, but some of these look absolutely beautiful. Oh, I'm looking forward to the entire rest of my afternoon being me daydreaming about learning beautiful new languages that are written right to left. So I'm going to be exceptionally cruel and leave you there having talked about these grids and boxes and lovingly beseeched you to mess with them to get a better idea of grid. But I'm coming all the way down here because we do have a project to start today. And what I want to do is take a deep breath, whew, and come all the way. We are so close to being done. If it's not a bother, oh heck, come back. Can I get you all to tell me, if it's not overreaching, how are you going to celebrate? Because I insist, I lovingly demand. Um, you must. It is non-optional. Everything else with homework or with projects, I say, oh, okay, well, real life is more important. Take some time, make sure you're relaxing, there's no hurry. I'm going to make an inflexible demand of all of you, which is when you finish your certification, when you get your like, ba-bum, I've got my responsive web design certification, you must do something to celebrate. It doesn't have to be expensive and it doesn't have to be a big thing, but we're far enough through this. And don't worry if you've still got more to do. Don't worry if you don't finish in 6 weeks. I don't care about that. And oh gosh, if you've got to like take a break and come back, that's fine as well. But you must, inflexibly must do something to celebrate your achievement. If it's not a bother, can you tell me what you think you might do to celebrate? I just want to be excited with you all in advance. And I'm going to swap this around so we can see some more. The screen is going to go away for just a second. And now it's going to come right back because we need to be able to see everything in that window, not just the tab. There we go. And you get to see that I've been sneaking and reading about this right to left script languages. But yeah, what are you going to do to celebrate if it's not a bother? I really like these last two projects because these last two projects feel like the most sort of real world stuff that I would expect junior developers with your skill sets to be making. Building a product landing page is, I can't guarantee that you're going to have to, but there's a pretty decent chance that at some point in your career, someone is going to make you to ask you to make a product landing page. And what a product landing page is say, oh, hey, we're going to have a product here, but just give us your email, show us you're interested. And then if enough people are interested, we'll make some trombones. Oh, Sasha, is it okay for me to put this up? So when you celebrate, you're going off to the countryside and walking in the woods and listening to winter birds. Oh, I don't really have anything to say. You know what? I can celebrate you all being absolutely lovely learners. That sounds amazing. I want to wander into the woods. It makes it sound like I want to run away from home. And I just want to be clear that I absolutely want to run away from home. So the way we're going to start this is the same way we've been starting it. We come down to the bottom. We're going to open our template in a new tab. Ooh, a pen by Jessica Rose because I'm logged in. And what we're going to do is, because we just always like to do this, we're going to grab all of our user stories. And because I'm being increasingly cruel to you all as your skills expand, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk through these. I'm not going to do much of anything, am I? We're going to talk through these and see. Ooh, I'm not even going to talk through these. I'm going to keep letting me know what you all are going to do to celebrate if it's not a bother. But also, just tell me what I should do. My product landing page should have a header element with a corresponding ID of header. And it's okay if you don't know what you're going to do yet to celebrate. But part of the sort of reward process is taking a little bit of time to think about it. But yeah, user story 1, what do I need to do? I think I've got a pretty decent idea, but I'm going to make you tell me. Ooh, actually, I was going to say, I'm not sure if this is going to be an H1 or a header, but our product landing should have a header element with a corresponding ID of header, and then it should have an image inside it. So I think it might be an actual proper header and not a heading, don't you? Header? Oh, let's close that. There we go. Yeah, Leanne says header is. Oh gosh, it's an ID, not a class, isn't it? Y'all are just out here saving me from myself every day, and I do not understand where you get that kind of patience and grace. We think that's gonna pass? Open up my little hamburger menu. I'm gonna where are look how far we've come. It's a product landing page, isn't it? We're gonna run our tests. 3 out of 16 seems what's the deal here? Okay. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Fine, 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 fine. My product landing page should have a header with a core. Where's that? What other test is passing then? Why do I have 3? Isn't this the best when it's like, oh, good job? And I'm like, well, why? Why is it good? Oh, the nav bar should always be at the top of the viewport. I mean, I don't have a nav bar yet. Do you know what this test is checking? It's checking to make sure that the nav bar is not somewhere else. So maybe maybe the nav bar will be. It makes sense that the nav bar would be in a header, isn't it? Okay. So we're a little bit ahead of ourselves. We've got credit for that now, but we can still break it. We can always still break it. That passed. We're not going to stare too closely into why that's worked. There's a story. I can see an image in a header. Oh, wait. Oh, here's a really good question from a Fedra saying, hey, when we're working on our projects, are there techniques to replace CodePen with our preferred editor and hook Free Code Camp's code validation runta to get any error clues? You can absolutely do that. Is possible. So here is the CDN. Here's the testy babby that you'd want to bring into your code editor. But I'm so sorry, I'm not really in a place to give sort of disparate support on different code editors for this. As a very lazy programmer, I'm also a lazy teacher. I've been gently pushing learners into, hey, just do it in the CodePen if you can, because the testing environment's already set up. Actually, does anybody else have any questions for me? I saw a big, very general, very good set of questions a minute ago, and it was kind of conceptual. I really liked it. I'm going to come and find it. But if anybody else has any questions, you just fuss at me. I mean, y'all are never fussing at me as gentle and lovely as you are. Where are we? Where are we? It was a really, really lovely, very patient person who was asking this fantastic question. Yeah. Oh, and Debjit was saying, hey, I know some CSS, but I'm not at a place right now where I can convert a full HTML image to a live page. And when you're saying a full HTML image, later you sort of discussed this a little bit where you said you're talking about like a Figma file. Yeah, yeah. And for those of us who haven't worked with Figma yet, Figma is a really, really powerful tool. And Figma is sort of a design and layout tool. So a lot of folks on the design side use it to say, this is what our website should look like. And then they give it to the devs and they say, devs, hopefully it's a discussion. It's like, can you make this? Not you must make this, but sometimes the discussion is you must make this. I don't think you've necessarily got to restart your basic CSS, but you're saying, oh, you know what? I'm kind of at a place where, and Devjit points out that you're a back end dev primarily. So, and working with Laravel, which is a PHP framework, which is really powerful and cool. To keep it even more basic, PHP is another programming language. It's a tool like JavaScript is, but it's just a little bit different. I mean, it's pretty different from JavaScript. I don't think you need to go back and start over. I think I would encourage you to write more and more CSS. So say, oh, cool. I'm still having a little bit of a challenging time with this. I'd start with some artificially simple websites. So, oh, here's a Figma file of a much simpler website. Can I make this with knowing what I do? Where do I need to sort of stretch conceptually to get this done? Yeah, I don't think you've got to start all the way over, but I would do some more CSS. Yeah. Oh, Donna's like, hey, you could use a script tag to input Free Code Camp's code validation in. I'm so sorry that I haven't figured that out myself yet. Does anybody else have any questions for me this morning or this afternoon in your time? You know what? Typos are legit. Somebody was saying, like, look, I'm just making a lot of typos. And woof, me too, babe. I'm going to grab a little bit of water. And if we don't have any questions, what I might do is, well, actually, while we wait for questions, let's chat about your homework. Yeah. And I'm going to give you way too much because this isn't your homework for tonight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I love this question. I love this. I love this. I love this. Let me go ahead and talk about your homework. And then Sasha's given us a philosophy question, which we'll look at in just one second. So your homework for the week, not for right now, is to go ahead and finish out the CSS grid section. It's a really, really hard section. So I'd be really surprised if you just sat down and did it all in one set. Like, woof, it's a lot. Definitely take breaks, definitely have some hot chocolate, definitely that kind of thing. And then I'd ask gently and lovingly if you can try and get started on this product landing page. I've absolutely loved getting to see your projects when you're dropping them into the forum and dropping into the Discord. With the product landing page, you can get as weird as you can get as weird as you want, as long as it still adheres to the code of conduct. Nothing too sassy, nothing violent. But if you have an actual business or you want to open a business, make a for real landing page. Do it. If you don't, you can do it doesn't have to be a real product. It could be a product landing page for unicorn rides. It could be a product landing page for the idea of abandoning your life and wandering into the woods to live with the birds. So you could do it anything. It could be a product, it could be a service, it could be as weird as what could be as weird as you are in your heart. Sasha wants to talk about the mental process behind the projects. Because this is, hang on, I'm going to stand up and I'm actually going to turn away from you for a second. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Although it does kind of show that I do teach wearing a giant fleece hoodie because it's very cold and I like to be comfortable. So let's talk about the mental processes behind projects. These projects suggest we're supposed to have a clear mental picture for our webpage. That's usually how it is in real life. If I'm making my own personal website, I am entirely led by chaos, and that's why it hasn't been updated for like 4 years. But if I'm building something with a team or if I'm building something with a client, I'm usually going to have, Gadget pointed out, oh, I work from Figma files. I work from these digital drawings of what there should be. But I am an extremely big fan of getting, and this is just an opinion. Everybody does it differently. You might want to draw it digitally. You might want to do it in Photoshop. Stuart taught us that Photoshop's a web app now. How baffling and delightful. But I really like paper, and this is called paper prototyping, which I think is really good. And I really encourage people to use the cheapest paper you can find. Um, and there's a reason behind that. If you have very, very nice paper that you're prototyping on, you're going to go nice and slow. And is this, well, I'm going to put this. Whereas if you've got, and this is genuinely the worst paper I could find, if you've got kind of, is it swearing to say crappy? Kind of rubbish paper, it encourages you to just speed the heck up. Where can I put me? And Ephedrus points out that this isn't just front-end design stuff. Ephedrus is like programming itself, working out the structure of a JavaScript thing. It's a very technical thing, a function or a program. You might want to prototype this out on paper. But here, I'm going to, can we see? Yeah, we can see. I'm going to go messy and fast. I did not think this out beforehand. Okay, so I want a header. It'll be up here. I want a picture of a bunny. Oh gosh, let's get a bigger pen, shall we? no, I'm so old. Sorry. Y'all, if I don't get up, send help. So I'm gonna do a header up here. I'm gonna suck. It's still not a much better pen, is it? We'll get there. So I've got my garbage paper, and I say, I'm going to think about how I want my website designed. There we go. And because it's garbage paper, I can just go real fast. Say, oh, I want a header up the top. I definitely want a sidebar. I want a picture here. Here's where my article will be. And I could just sort of start mapping this out in the messiest possible way. And I liked this question because the way you addressed this, I loved this. Where you said, hey, let's talk about the mental process. And me saying, oh, you got to get some paper. You got to get Figma. You don't have to get paper and you don't have to get Figma. There's a bunch of different ways different people do this. But you're absolutely correct that these are just tools supporting your mental process mapping this out. And it's really about what works best for you and your team. Also, if you have a big pad of garbage paper, it means that you've got a sketch pad right behind you. And oh, wait, I don't even have to be embarrassed because Dr. Barbara Oakley told us that Pomodoro techniques mean that you've got 20 or 25 minutes focus and then 5 minutes of downtime. Having a sketchbook behind you to chill and draw for your brain rest periods is so good. You can't draw websites, but you can definitely draw pictures of flowers and rabbits and zombies or whatever is in your heart. Ooh, is there a difference? Is there a difference in the functionality whether you set your images with image screen in HTML or background URL in CSS? I have no idea. I love this. Hang on, let's go to MD. And I think what the CSS is likely doing is applying an image screen behind the scenes. I think what the CSS is likely doing is doing the same thing as the HTML, but background is drawing with stacking context layer. Yeah. So if you are putting in a background image, I'd probably use background image. I don't need the syntax. I want to see what's happening behind the scenes. Okay. Hey, this is important. So browsers won't apply alt text or anything. So people with using assistive technologies won't know what your background image is. So if it's important, setting it as a proper image instead. What's happening behind the hood in this? I don't need an example, thank you. Woof. This is looking a lot like my very first website, and I have some shame. Yeah. So, yeah. It seems to do most the difference in functionality that I'm immediately able to discover is that there's no alt text in backgrounds. URL with CSS. Cool. Is that satisfying? Muju. Dang. Yeah. You got a question from Z-Index about Z. And remember that Z-Index was these pancake layers of stacking, right? Let's get 3 small books because I've done this before, and big books were terrible. Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't like this book. So if I've got 3 books, and this one has a Z-index of -3, and this one has a Z-index of 1, and this one has a Z-index of 2, setting this one's, setting the number 2 to a Z-index of 0 will actually put it in the middle because it's moving up the stack. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I was going to talk through all of this, but Leanne's cut to the chase to be like, cool. If they're the exact same value, then the last one that gets called is going to take precedent. And hereby takes precedence meaning goes on top, right? Like the top, closer to the top of the stack. And that means the last one to get called is going to be the last one that's rendered in your the last one that's written in your CSS. So further down the file. Whew. And Maria, thank you so much again for that very good question, because you're like, what's the difference between these two things? I was like, I've never thought of that. Yeah. So here, they both have a Z index of 1, but one of them is on top. The one that's on top is the one that is defined later down the page in the CSS. And that's going to happen a lot of times with CSS to say, hey, both of these have the same value. Sometimes that, who gets precedence will be based on maybe inheritance or parents. But if they are equal in all things, the one that gets defined last wins. It's weird, right? I used to have a complex way of talking out who wins, and it was all about Pokemon. And I get some feedback that folks were like, no, Jess, that doesn't make any sense. Stop it. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? And how are we feeling about stuff? I did want to apologize one more time for being sick yesterday. You all were wonderfully patient, and I do appreciate it. We've got, do you know what? We've got our guest speaker. Oh, Leanne, always after my own heart. Okay. You're right. But important is like a last ditch. I use important as sort of a last ditch effort. Have we seen important yet? Has anybody seen important come up in the curriculum? So important is this sort of, it's not cheating, but it's not cheating. Important in CSS is when you're like, look, I don't know what Z index this is, and I'm tired, and I don't know what, and it's not just Z indexes, but when you use important, you say, my CSS file is too big, and there's a bunch of stuff going on here. I don't know why this isn't going to work, but important means the element or the selector, the thing I'm applying important to, override other stuff. So it's just saying, cool, I don't know who's your parent or who's your child anymore. I don't know what order this is in. I'm just using important to override this and say, you're always going to win in a fight of conflicts. Saying important is like, yeah, it's like giving your element a little sword and knighting them and saying, okay, you're in charge now. Good luck. Using important is a really powerful tool. And it's a really powerful tool that can absolutely get you. Because if you use it just like once or twice now and again, you're like, cool, important is always going to win. If you use it often enough, Leanne, maybe we're the same person. Although don't be working at 3 a.m. Absolutely not. Important means like, look, I'm done. I'm just done. I'm done. I'm going to walk away from this. I'm done. But if you use important often enough where you can get conflicts between things that are important, it's a good sign to stop using important so much. Oh, everything's, yeah. And that's one of the nice things about layout and design and CSS and really HTML as well is there's a lot of really, really good chaos. And sometimes you're like, wow, I absolutely know how this should work. I know what's going on. And then you actually write it down. And you're like, nope, I have no idea what this is. I'm just going to mark you as important and go to bed. And yeah, that's good enough sometimes. It's good enough for me. So this ends your 5th week of core lessons. Tomorrow, Felina Hermans, who's a very fancy, brilliant, she's so smart, it's terrifying, but she's very nice. Professor is going to come and talk to us about writing code, and I think that's going to be fantastic. And then we'll come back next week, and we're going to have our very last session. No, sessions. Next week, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Don't worry about trying to get all this finished in 6 weeks. The forum's still going to be there. The Discord's still going to be there. I bet Ramon and I will still do some off, probably not Saturdays, but I bet we'll just keep streaming, goofing off. And we'll also start planning some about what's going to happen with the next boot camps, all right? So don't think you've got to finish in 6 weeks. There's no kind of hurry. Everything's okay. Everything within the context of learning web development is okay. Like the world is big and scary. This is genuinely just computers. I'm going to let all of you go, hopefully, to have a very easy day. Oh, and don't forget your very important homework is different today. Your very important homework is to start thinking about how you're going to reward yourself when you finish your certification. I'd love to chat to you all about this in the Discord or on the forum. Love, love, love to hear this. Yeah. Oh gosh, don't worry. You're not really behind now. There's no deadlines. There's no rules. There's no attendance. This is chill. This is just support. I'll let you go. Bye, my lovelies.